Dumela Batswana ko gae, se ke Sebaga sa Botswana, Sebaga sa Batswana, and today I'm bringing you the most exclusive, the most interactive and informative show on the land. This is Issues on Red, where we get to talk about issues, especially around gender-based violence, and see how the youth, young people view them. Today, I'm not alone. I'm with two beautiful ladies. Please introduce yourselves. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I am well.
Tell Botswana who you are.
Dumela nkalapeng. My name is Louisa April. I'm a brand strategist and singer-songwriter.
Welcome, Louisa.
Thank you
so
much.
It's good to have you here. And you are with?
And I am Koketso Somolekae, a youth counselor at Mebala Youth Studios.
All right, Koketso. It's really good to have you ladies here. Thank you so much for coming. Today we'll be talking about the influence of media and pop culture on perceptions of GBV. Now, I do believe we all have a relationship somehow with media, especially social media. So I want us to start off by laying a foundation and tell me, how is your relationship with social media and how do you think it perceives GBV to people at home?
Okay. I think for me, especially also considering the type of work that I do, social media is a building block in terms of how we interact with the world, how we tell stories, and also just how we market different things. With regards to GBV and how our perceptions are shifted with regards to social media, essentially we get a lot of information that maybe in the past we didn't have access to at our fingertips. And that obviously gives us more information to make informed decisions, but then also it can skew our perceptions in terms of what is right and what is wrong. So I think it just also matters how we filter out the different content that we consume.
All right. What's your take, Koketso?
Well, personally, I'm not that active on social media, but when it comes to my work, which is counseling, we usually use social media so much. So when it comes to issues of advocacy and raising awareness, because we know that what someone says, it can shape what you think, right? What you think can be affected by what you've heard. Even the way you behave will also be affected by everything. So it depends on what you hear, honestly, and what you want to believe.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And now I want us to tone it down to now talk about, I'll give an instance. There was a TikTok video where a lady was seen slapping her boyfriend, and a lot of people were like, get it, girl, celebrating that she did that. What do we have to say about that? Because it's a matter of fact that over 67% of victims of gender-based violence are ladies. And now we've come to a point where when we see a lady violating a man, it kind of seems like, yeah, it's about time that we stand up for ourselves. Is that okay?
I definitely don't think that it's okay, but I do understand why people would be more reactive to such a video as compared to perhaps if it was a man inflicting the violence. Generally, with the way that things are shared, there's an element of shock factor that sells. Yeah. The fact that it's a woman in this case, or the fact that it's a man that's being victimized, there's an element of shock to it because it's not something that's so common or popular, but it does happen behind closed doors. So I think perhaps when such videos or issues come to light, it's important for us to actually start the conversation or have the crucial conversation around how anyone can be a victim as well as anyone can be an abuser. So in terms of that happening and that trending, using the moment to capitalize on to spread awareness instead of just mocking the situation because of the different genders involved.
What do you have to say about that, Koketso?
Well, it's so wrong. When we're talking about gender-based violence, we're talking about both genders, both males and females. I think we tend to forget that even males shouldn't be violated or abused, you know. Yeah. So that video on its own, seeing other people cheering and being supportive, it's them saying, oh, yeah, well, most of the time women are abused. Yeah. Finally, men are abused. And we shouldn't reach that point, honestly. We need to speak for both males and females.
All right, I'm glad that you brought that up. Now, would we say that our country is doing enough in addressing gender-based violence? Because as we may now know, the cases keep going up, but over time, it keeps increasing. Do we feel like the government is doing enough? What do you feel like we should be doing at the moment to improve?
I do think the government is aware. They have developed an act that addresses specifically domestic violence and so forth. However, in terms of having it on paper, as in this is what we expect the country to abide by versus what's happening on the ground, I feel like we can do so much better. Because usually you hear stories of, okay, fine, something has happened to me, I try to go to the police or I try and get support. But where you go to get support, you're not met with the kindness that you need for such a delicate situation. So in terms of, on paper, the things that they try to enforce or the policies that they create, yes, there is something, there's a start, we can do better. But I think on the ground, we need so much more work just to sensitize people, to be more sensitive and to be more aware about how they handle such issues.
But as we now understand that most young people are on social media, but is the relevant information being reached out to them? Is the media preaching or talking enough about gender-based violence? Or do you feel like they need to do something more to reach out, especially to young people? Because one very important thing that someone said to me is young people in relationships are actually very abusive to each other, but this is not being addressed. I'm talking of kids from 15 years to about 25, but we don't talk about this kind of GBV enough. So what can we do for social media to have this news? Is the media doing enough?
I do think that the media definitely reports on issues of GVB, but the way that they report it, I do feel that it can lean more towards educating on why not to do it or how better to support victims and so forth. Because usually you'll find that the headline is around something happened to this particular person instead of this is happening, this is the solution or how we can go towards fixing it. Yes.
I feel like social media is doing a good job. There's lots of information out there. It depends on an individual. What do you want to watch? What do you want to consume? And at the end of the day, what do you want to do?
All right, thank you so much, ladies. Let's just take a quick break. Let's go relax, drink water, and we'll be back to talk more about this. Welcome back. This is Issues on Red. When you left, we are talking about the influence of media and pop culture on perceptions of GBV. And I'm not alone. I'm with two beautiful guests who are having this conversation with me, and we are going to continue. So ladies, tell me, this is not yet over. How are gender roles rather portrayed by the movies that we see, the music videos that we see? I think I specifically like to talk about a certain movie that I saw that was very, very violating to women. It's for colored girls or something by Media. We saw a man pushing over a lady, the kids were crying. But the point that I'm trying to make is usually we see women being the abused ones in movies, right? How does that affect how we see GBV and how we react to it?
Okay, that movie, I've seen it. Yes. And to be honest, it's so painful to see such kind of things, because they're literally showing us what happens behind closed doors, you know. And seeing a woman being treated that way, a woman who is a nurturer, a woman who is a person who takes care of children, even the husband, it's very heartbreaking. And you know what? I believe that such kind of things need to be addressed. Yeah, you can show women being abused, but what's next? What are you gonna do? These movies don't show like the good part of it. If they're abused, how are they gonna get help? They don't show that. They only show the violent part. And that on its own, we need to know that kids are watching this kind of things. What are they learning from that? That hitting a woman is okay? Oh, no, it's not. So we need to show things which teach something which is of value to kids. Because kids learn from what they see, not what you tell them. If you have to say, hey, Nana, don't say 1, 2, 3, and then you say it, trust me, that kid's going to say that. So, yeah.
I love that you brought that up. Now let's talk about music videos. A good number of music videos, we see women being in a very vulnerable positions, being naked, being submissive to men, being, questionable things. What does that say to us as a society regarding GBV? What do we take from that, and how does that affect our perceptions?
I think generally there's always been this proportionate experience of a woman, especially in the music industry or the creative scene in general, as well as men. Men tend to be on the more offensive side. They're more strong, their voices and things are heard. Whereas if a woman maybe perhaps comes into the industry with a certain type of attitude or way of doing things, you find that she's not well received as compared to her male counterparts. So in terms of music in particular, I think it is really important and beautiful to see that some people are actually using their songs to try and tell or speak on issues around GBV, right? It helps the person listening to maybe be able to add language and contextualize situations that they're in to maybe feel like, oh, I'm not alone in this. But then also it gives a sense of solidarity. Music is quite powerful. So the way that you use it can definitely be used to impact lives on the ground in terms of standing up for yourself or finding a voice and then being able to get the relevant help that you need.
That is very true. I think now because we've said that there are initiatives put forth by the government, by the media, and possibly by individuals, I just feel like we are lacking the activating part to actually be on action and do the doing part, which is why the numbers keep going up. So what can we say to individuals, especially the youth? What can an individual do to contribute to the whole fight against gender-based violence?
Well, I would say if you want to do something or to violate another person, ask yourself, how would I feel if someone was to do this to me? That's the first question you have to ask yourself. How would I feel if my sister was treated this way or if my brother was treated this way? That on its own, it has to make you feel or to believe that doing something wrong to others, it's wrong. You need to have conscience, honestly. If you don't have one, then yeah, that's when you're going to violate other people or abuse other people, regardless of their genders, whether it's a male or a female, a kid or an old woman. So yeah.
I think for me, with regards to youth, I really love the energy that the youth have these days because they're really more vocal about issues that they're experiencing. I think meeting that vocalness with, okay, fine, let's have a conversation instead of trying to quiet them down. I'd also say that perhaps become the change that you want to see in your community. So instead of just saying, why didn't they do X, Y, Z, ask yourself, what can I do to participate in this? Whether it's through dialogue, whether it's through telling a story, whether you're using music or film or whatever outlet, just become the community that you want to see, and also speak on behalf of victims, sensitize people in your community and hold people accountable. That's really key.
I believe we've talked about this enough. Now, can we just give a last words to people who are watching this show in regards to social media and GBV? What would you like to say to them in regards to that? How can they use social media as a platform to be informative when it comes to GBV, to encourage, to teach, to learn from each other? Yes.
I think for me, I'd say, social media is a vast space. There's a lot of information. Do verify your sources where you can so that you're getting the right information and you're using that information to make informed decisions. Also do speak up, retweet, engage on relevant and important dialogue so that you're able to also amplify to people in your social algorithm. And then lastly, do your best to also be part of the change that you want to see. Yeah.
I would say let's make social media a safe space. What do I mean by that? An environment where anyone, an individual or a group of people can feel free to share their experiences without having being afraid of discrimination, being criticized or being harmed. That's very important.
Thank you so much, ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Issues on Red, and today we're talking about the influence of media and pop culture on shaping the perceptions of GBV. Like they said, make sure that social media is a safe space for the victims and for the people who are seeking information to learn more on the issue. My name is Sebaga Manyapetsa. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to catch up with us on our social media pages at Mebala Studios. Goodbye.
Dumelang.
Dumelang ngwanaka.
Erra. Kopa leina le matsogo.
Re ke bidwa Eric Nsimbi ke re wa 61 years ke jile di Christmas di 61 ngwanaka.
Okay. mo tsatsing la gompieno re bua ka kgokgontsho ya bong le itseng ka kgokgontsho ya bong.
ke tshwara ke utlwa go buiwa mo di-radio gore bo mme ba tshedisiwa mo kgobeding ke banna ba kgontsha bo mme yaanong go mo go a tshwenya ka gore gone ke belaela gore go dirwa ke gore o tshidile o godile o ntse ka bonana ja gago mo go wena a o ne o le motho o marginalized mo botshelong ga o ntse o le marginalized mo botshelong ga o tla go gola o kopana le bomme o tsaya gore bomme ano o tshwanetse gore ba harase o ntshetsa a tlhokego eo ya gore o ne o tshedisiwa sente yaanong o tla o bofela bomme dilo tse dingwe tse gangwe di dirwa ke gore bana ba malatsi a the ba rata di-substance abuse ke tseo tse di ba direlang mathata monna o le nosi a solotile ka gore o bona mme ga o itse gore ka mo confisa yang o hela e le gore ga o nyetse mosadi wa mmetsa just for nothing just because you are only intoxicated ka go ja those substance abuse.
Right now, I'm standing next to this beautiful girl, Jennifer. How are you, Jennifer?
I'm good.
All right, Jennifer, the question that I have for you is what do you think gender-based violence entails?
Gender-based violence, it's like undergoing suppression from someone of the opposite gender. But it can be either physically, emotionally, depends on how severe it is.
I am with this beautiful young lady. Can you please tell us your name and how are you doing?
Good morning. My name is Tapolo from Dutwani. Yeah, I'm doing so great, and the weather is feeling just quite reasonable and better. Yes.
All right. What do you know about gender-based violence?
All right. Gender-based violence, I think it's a type of violence that normally occurs to either for males or females. No, it can be on relationships or just some kind of relationships that may people be involved in. So, and it can also affect children. Yes. So in Botswana, mostly it tends to affect women. That's where we normally see cases of gender-based violence affecting women.
Right now, I am with Tsaone and Tsepiso, right?
Yes.
How are you guys doing this morning? You're good?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to start with the fun question. So, you've probably had this one before. Would you rather be in a room with a bear or a man?
A bear.
And you?
A man.
A man.
Yeah.
Why a bear?
I mean, a bear.
Why?
I have there, but I cannot stay.
Oh yeah, I do understand. And then you, why a man?
Because what if the bear kills me?
Right.
And I don't want to die.
I mean, you can at least talk to the man and
But
say, calm down.
Also, the man can kill you.
But I can talk to him.
But
I can't speak to a bear.
I can.
There's a common ground. We're both human. We can talk
Yes.
instead of a bear. A bear. Imagine a bear or Imagine.
Welcome to the part of the segment where we get to sit down and read what other people's experiences are based on wherever they are or whoever they're going it through with, right? The role of media and pop culture is the episode that we're on, and here is my first story. Mind you, I'm sharing this without reading it firsthand. I'm reading it the same time as you. Have you ever looked at someone's perfect life online and felt envious? My name is Amantle, and this is my story of how my seemingly perfect relationship was a facade hiding a painful reality. Online, my relationship with Buemo looked perfect. Smiling photos, loving captions, and shared memories painted a picture of happiness. But behind those posts were a reality of pain and fear. Isn't this an everyday thing though? Buemo and I met through mutual friends and quickly became inseparable. Our social media profiles were filled with highlights of our life together, friends and family often commenting on how lucky we were to have each other. Little did they know, Buemo was controlling and abusive behind closed doors. He would monitor my messages, control who I could see, and frequently accuse me of cheating. If I posted a photo without his approval, he would get furious. He isolated me from my friends and my family, and I felt completely alone. Something in the story tells me that this is an everyday experience among le mongwe, and it is very scary. Perfectly curated content, and yet there is a larger story behind it. The worst part was the emotional abuse. Buemo made me feel worthless and constantly belittled me. I started to believe his words and lost all confidence in myself. Yet, I kept up the facade online, hoping things would get better. One night, after an especially brutal argument, I realized that I couldn't live like this anymore. The perfect online life was a lie, and it was destroying me. I reached out to a close friend who had noticed the cracks in our relationship. She helped me see that I deserved better and supported me as I made a difficult decision to leave Buemo. Leaving was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it also was the most liberating. I deleted the fake posts and started to rebuild my life. I focused on my healing, surrounded myself with supportive people, and began to find my self-worth again. Now I use my experience to help others understand that what they see online isn't always the truth. If you feel trapped in a situation that doesn't match the happy pictures you post, reach out for help. You deserve to live your life, your truth, and not a lie, which is absolutely true. Social media is all about being confident in who you are. But then again, as the audience, we get lost in the sense that what we see is what is actually happening in someone's life. No. Don't try to keep up with people's expectations on social media. Just be honest to yourself. And remember that social media is just a place where you can run away, sort of like a fairy tale, if you must. Choose yourself first. And that is how we conclude our first story. Thank you for tuning in.